in too deep. You're seeing me in your dreams. Can't even stop picturing.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Hunter Blair Ambrose, and at midnight, her single Skin Deep drops, and we're so excited for that. Hunter, how are you feeling?
I'm so excited. It's hard to describe what I'm feeling right now. I don't think I'm gonna know until we're like closer to like midnight tonight. Right now it's like 1:30 where I'm at, so we got a little bit longer to go, but I'm so excited. How are you doing?
I'm really good, I'm so excited. I've been listening to the song, it's so good, and I really hear a sonic evolution with that song. Tell me a bit more about how you came up with the sound for it.
So I think when we spoke like a few months ago, when I was talking about, you know, what to expect on the album versus the EP that I dropped in April, I think I gave like a few hints into the direction that we were gonna take like the sonics of the record, that there was gonna be more R&B, that there was gonna be more some more experimental aspects of the production, and that we were just gonna go like completely all out with some of the tracks to really create like just more of like a cinematic experience, and something that was more had like a really linear storyline, and just it was intended, this whole record was intended to be like a tribute to all of the music that has gotten me through the last 4 years or so, and a lot of that has been like experimental R&B and hip hop mixed with like some synth pop. And so when I sat down with my producers that I worked with on this song, and I had never worked with these specific producers that were on this track before doing this song, so I didn't really know what to expect at first, but I just explained to them like, these are my influences, this is what I'm inspired by, this is what I want to, you know, base the songwriting on, like this is what I want the song to be about in a general sense. Here's some lyrics I've written. Where do you think we can take this? And yeah, I mean, we just kind of went from there. We played around with a bunch of beats on one of my producer's laptops, and we were just flipping through beats until I found one that really spoke to me and that I felt like I could really like write on top of quickly. And once I heard like the beat drop from what you're gonna hear on the single tonight, once I heard that instrumental, like I was like, yep, that's it. That sounds like me. That sounds like it would fit what I want to write about perfectly. Everything fit together really, really well once I heard it. And the whole song came about really quickly after that.
It's a brilliant song, I love it, and I really feel that like it's a sexy song as well. It's such a, it's a sexy song. So what's the story behind that then? How does that fit into the storyline of the whole record?
So this song I think that it's a good reflection of one of the major themes of the whole album, which is kind of like, do you want to take a really strong physical attraction to somebody and pursue that, but then go into it with the risk of like catching feelings and putting yourself out there and like getting overly emotionally invested in something that has such a strong sexual overtone to it. Like it's kind of, sometimes that can be difficult, and sometimes there's a lot of conflicting feelings that come along when you start like engaging in like a hookup like that. You know, like people get attached really easily sometimes. And so this song was written about something that I experienced a lot in my own relationships and love interests and whatever, where it's like there can be like crazy attraction and everything can seem super perfect on like the physical side of things, but my own baggage and emotional trauma and hang-ups from the past kind of prevent me from going deeper, no pun intended, with the whole thing.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And I feel like in the lyrics you say you've had trust issues from the start, and I think it really is about taking it deeper. And so obviously the record's based on a relationship. Did you feel that trust issues when you go into the relationship?
Maybe not from the very beginning, just because like, you know, when you first meet somebody, like we're having fun, I don't know where this is gonna go, like let's just live in the moment. But as that relationship, connection, whatever you want to call it, as that goes on and as you start spending more time with somebody and you realize, wow, I really vibe with you, I really like you, but like, wait, I don't want to get hurt, I don't want this to get messy, I don't want to mess up what we already have, like we're just vibing, we're having a good time, I don't want to fuck that up. That's happened to me so many times, especially in the case of the specific relationship that inspired this whole record. Because I think I've spoken to you about that before, where I told you there was a specific instance and person and experience that put the whole inspiration of this album into motion for me. So with that person, yeah, absolutely, that was part of what went wrong.
In that way, Skin Deep has two meanings. It's about taking it skin deep in a sexual way, and then wanting to take it skin deep in a more, like a sort of romantic sense, and whether you want to take the risk in that relationship. So in the sense of it fitting to the record storyline, it's about asking yourself that question, where's that relationship going to go? And I feel like it's really cool that you work with producers you hadn't worked with before and made such a cool song, and also there's a collaboration on this song, isn't there?
Yeah.
Tell us about how that happened.
That came about because my manager, shout out to Dave, thanks for making this happen. My manager manages another artist who goes by the name of Ye Ali, and he's absolutely amazing. And when I first signed on with my manager, I remember when we were in the talks of beginning that business partnership, he was showing me, a couple of the other artists that he had been working with over the years, and Ye's name came up, and I listened to his music, obsessed with it. Falls right in line with the music that I listen to in my spare time the most. And then when my manager also set me up with the two producers that worked on this song, I found out that they had also done production work for Ye, and I was like, okay, so I would really like to meet him, at some point, maybe like discuss like the possibility of like having him do a feature. We met, we sat in the studio, we listened to the track. We were in the studio together as the track was being built. And as it went on, I laid down, I don't think we went into it knowing, because we did 3 songs with that whole group, with that whole personnel. We did like 3 separate tracks on the album all together. And I think we knew that like a feature would be cool, but we didn't know what song it was gonna be on. And as the song was being created, there was this space where the production kind of comes down. And it was like the perfect length for like a bridge or just like a breakdown or something. And as we were listening to the track back, after I'd laid all my vocals down on it, we were like, oh, this is the perfect spot for a verse. This is the perfect spot for a feature. Let's do it.
Brilliant, and I love it, and it works so well. I think your voice is amazing on the track, and Ye's verse is really cool. I think it works really well. So I love the song. And your fans, what do you want them to take away from the song?
I think that I just think that this song is a perfect representation of what my music represents as a whole, where I think that a constant theme in everything I've put out so far is this like duplicity and this like contrast of sex versus love, attachment versus fear, all kinds of that stuff. And also it's a perfectly accurate representation of the music that I'm the most passionate about. And I don't think people necessarily knew that about me before, because beforehand, I think the song that I was most well known for was November. So I had this really tight, locked in Lady Gaga connection. But the truth is that I love so many different kinds of music. And I have so many different inspirations that I've always wanted to tap into. And this is the genre of music that I feel represents me, at least at this time in my life, the best, and represents the era of my life that I was trying to capture in this album the best. So I hope that people can take away that I'm having fun, I'm doing the music that I love the most, I want people to dance, but also like listen to the lyrics at the same time and be like, wow, I felt that, but I'm also having a good time. And that's actually like a perfect reflection of what the song's about. Like, we're having a great time in this situation, but like, wait a minute, I want to like take a step back and actually think about how I'm feeling and think about how you're feeling and see if this can be something great.
And I felt that when I listened to the song, I was walking along and I was grooving to like the beat of it. I liked the way it was like a sexy song, and then I was listening to the lyrics and it was like, oh, okay then, this is relatable. And then you think about like navigating those relationships, and when you get into the new relationship, it's a beautiful thing and you enjoy it so much because it's this new shiny thing, and then you have to start thinking, okay, where is this going? Do I want it to go that way? And what advice would you give people in that situation that you were sort of in the storyline of the song? What would you say to people like navigating at the start of a relationship?
Always, I think, okay, because as somebody that's been through this many times in my 25 years, always make sure that you are aware of how you really feel, and also make sure you're aware of how like your partner feels too, and if you guys are on the same page. And just be honest with yourself. Like, if you want to just like keep things casual and fun, that's fine. If you think that's not enough, that's also okay. I think just to go back on like the overall messaging of this record, it was all about me finding myself as like an artist, a young woman, and just my place in the world, and learning to accept myself as I am, which is a very, sensitive, passionate individual, and that's looking for something, deeper than something frivolous in life. And just my journey from being like a very young, naive 21-year-old to now. And I think that what you just spoke about is something that helped me find a part of myself. I think going through all those experiences, like what Skin Deep is about, going through failed relationships like that, helped me figure out what I really want out of that part of my life, and just helped me find myself more as a young woman. So again, like you said, like, it's a sexy, fun song, but there's a lot of deeper meaning that's hidden underneath it. And I'm glad I get to talk to you about it beforehand so people can really get what the song's really about, because I think it gives it a new meaning when people listen.
Totally, definitely. And having this conversation, I'm starting to realise how deep the song is, and there's so much meaning. And if you listen to a snippet out of context, you might think it's purely a sexy song, but no, you're totally right. It's such a deep song, and it's so important that people like think when they get into a relationship. You need to know how you feel and how your partner feels, and I think that communication is really important. And I know, like, listening to Skin Deep compared to Right Now and November, and sort of, is there more surprises to come on the album? Because I love Skin Deep and I love Right Now and I love November, but there is growth there. There's so much growth there. Is there more surprise to come on the album?
Absolutely, definitely. There's a lot of different, everything's very cohesive, but we explored a lot of different influences of mine, and implemented some different genre influences in there, and there's a couple of very specific references to specific artists that are hidden and woven throughout the album. But it's funny, like, you bringing up Right Now in November and the growth between my earlier work and this. We knew that. Once we recorded it, we were like, okay, this is a complete like step up. So knowing that, I actually re-recorded and remixed my old music that will be on the album, because we wanted it all we wanted it all to be elevated, and we wanted it all to match, because I wanted to include 3 of the songs from the EP on the album. The only one we didn't touch is November.
Yeah.
But we did re-record the other 2 from the EP that are on the album, because there has been, I feel like I've grown a lot as a singer. I feel like I've grown a lot as a person, for better or worse, like from this whole year, because it's been a tough one, obviously. There was just a lot of evolution that took place throughout the last 12 months, for sure.
Yeah, and you can really hear that. And I found it really interesting how you said that you re-recorded the songs from the EP, because that's quite a daring thing to do, but it shows how you're willing to grow and you're willing to let things go and re-record something and do it again if you want to change it. And I think that's so important and so useful. And I'm so excited for everyone else to hear Skin Deep tomorrow. Of course, when they listen to this interview, the song will be out. What do you want to tell them about the song? What final message would you leave them?
I think that listening to the song in the context of like the time that we're living in, and we're at the end of the year, it's been a hard one, but that mixed in with the whole messaging of this album and the music that I'm putting out over the next month or so, all of that tied together, I think it's just time for all of us to find some like real joy and happiness and escape through music again. But also, like, doesn't mean we have to shut off like all of our feelings and emotions revolving around our lives. But you know, it just represents again that kind of like duplicity of like, hey, let's like let loose and have fun, but don't, you know, forget about the important parts in here too at the same time.
You do it perfectly, and to everyone watching, you know what to do. Go and stream Skin Deep and follow Hunter, follow her music, be excited for the album, it's going to be great, and I love the song. Thank you for joining me, Hunter.
Thank you. Bye.
Rah, rah, Joe, ah, ah. If you want to see more Gaga Great videos, then subscribe to Joe on his social media.